My mother didn't even have the decency to call me. She sent a text. A short, cold, dismissive text that landed on my phone screen like a slap across the face at 9:47 on a Tuesday night. Sienna, don't come for Thanksgiving this year. Ethan says your presence would ruin the energy. It's better if you sit this one out. I read those words 3 times. Then 4. Then 5. I kept waiting for a follow-up message. Something like I'm kidding or let's talk about this or even I'm sorry. But nothing came. Just silence. Just my mother choosing my sister's husband of 6 months over her own daughter of 32 years. I sat on my couch in my apartment in downtown Denver, staring at that message until my eyes burned. The television was playing some cooking show in the background. The host was talking about how to brine a turkey for the perfect Thanksgiving meal. The irony wasn't lost on me. My fingers hovered over the keyboard for a long time. I typed out responses and deleted them. Angry ones. Hurt ones. Defensive ones. Questions demanding explanations. Paragraphs explaining why this was unfair. But in the end, I sent one word. Okay. That's it. That's all I gave her. No fight. No tears. No begging for a seat at a table I'd helped set for 29 consecutive years. Just okay. Because here's the thing my mother didn't understand. Here's what nobody in my family ever bothered to figure out. The quiet ones aren't weak. The quiet ones are watching. The quiet ones are waiting. And the quiet ones remember everything. My name is Sienna Hale. I'm 32 years old, and I've spent my entire life being the invisible daughter. The helpful one. The reliable one. The one who shows up 3 hours early to peel potatoes and stays 4 hours late to scrub casserole dishes. The one who remembers everyone's dietary restrictions and allergies. The one who buys thoughtful birthday gifts while everyone else sends last-minute Amazon gift cards. I'm the daughter who never raises her voice, never causes scenes, never demands attention. And because of that, my family made a critical error in judgment. They assumed quiet meant powerless. They thought helpful meant desperate. They believed invisible meant insignificant. My mother thinks I work some office job in a building downtown. She's never asked what I actually do. Neither has my father. Neither has my sister Audrey. They've never visited my workplace, never Googled my company, never shown the slightest curiosity about my career. At family gatherings, when people ask what I do, my mother waves her hand dismissively and says, "Oh, Sienna works in consulting or something." She takes notes in meetings. I've never corrected her. But here's the truth. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer at Whitmore & Associates, one of the most prestigious consulting firms in the Mountain West region. We advise Fortune 500 companies, government agencies, and international organizations. My signature has approved infrastructure projects worth hundreds of millions of dollars. I manage teams across 4 states. Last year, I was featured in Denver Business Weekly's 40 Under 40 list. But at Thanksgiving dinner, I'm still the girl who gets asked to refill the water glasses. And I let them believe that. I let them underestimate me. Until now. Let me tell you about Ethan Caldwell. My sister Audrey married him 6 months ago in a ceremony that cost my parents $40,000 they didn't really have. It was held at a vineyard in Napa Valley, because Ethan insisted that anything less would be beneath their love story. Audrey met Ethan at a personal development seminar. You know the type. One of those weekend retreats where people pay $2,000 to walk on hot coals and scream affirmations at each other. Ethan was one of the guest speakers. He called himself a mindset coach and a vibrational alignment specialist. What he actually was. Unemployed with a good haircut and an expensive vocabulary. But Audrey fell hard. She's always been the romantic one, the dreamer, the one who believes in destiny and soulmates and love at first sight. Within 3 months, she was engaged. Within 6, she was married. And within 8, Ethan had moved into my parents' guest house temporarily, while he and Audrey manifested their dream home. That was 4 months ago. They're still in the guest house. Ethan never liked me. I could tell from our first meeting. It was at a family barbecue last spring. He walked in wearing linen pants, a shirt unbuttoned to his chest, and a crystal pendant he claimed was charged with lunar energy. He went around the room introducing himself with both hands clasped around each person's handshake, making intense eye contact and saying things like "I see a powerful light in you." When he got to me, he paused. I didn't giggle. I didn't swoon. I didn't tell him how amazing his energy was. I just shook his hand normally and said, "Nice to meet you." Something flickered in his eyes. Irritation. Maybe even fear. Because people like Ethan can sense when someone sees through them. And I saw through him from the first second. Over the following months, he avoided me at family gatherings. When I asked him direct questions about his business, he gave vague non-answers. When I pointed out logical flaws in his grandiose plans, he changed the subject. When I simply existed in a room without validating his every word, he grew hostile. He told Audrey I was blocked and operating from a low vibration. He told my mother I brought negative energy to family events. He told my father I was jealous of Audrey's happiness. And slowly, insidiously, my family started to believe him. So when my mother sent that text, I knew exactly whose voice was behind it. I knew Ethan had finally succeeded in doing what he'd wanted from the beginning. Removing me from the picture. What Ethan didn't know was that my mother had called me 2 weeks earlier. Her voice had been small, worried, uncertain. She'd asked me to look into something about Ethan. Quietly. Without telling anyone. She'd sensed something was wrong but didn't want conflict. So she came to me. The quiet one. The invisible one. And what I found would destroy everything Ethan had built. The next morning, I arrived at my office at 7:30 a.m. Whitmore & Associates occupies the top 3 floors of the Meridian Tower in downtown Denver. My corner office on the 24th floor has floor-to-ceiling windows that overlook the Rocky Mountains. On clear mornings, you can see all the way to Pikes Peak. I had a 10 a.m. meeting with a federal client about a major infrastructure project. Hundreds of pages of proposals needed my review. My assistant, Priya, had already laid out the documents, a fresh cup of Ethiopian coffee, and my reading glasses. It was supposed to be a normal day. Around 9:30, Priya knocked on my door. Her expression was strange. Concerned. "Sienna? There's a man in the lobby asking for you. He's very agitated. Very loud. Security is monitoring the situation. Should I have them escort him out?" I set down my pen. Did he give a name? She hesitated. "Ethan Caldwell. He says he's your brother-in-law." My heart didn't race. My palms didn't sweat. Instead, something cold and calm settled over me. The man who'd had me banned from Thanksgiving had shown up at my workplace. The workplace he assumed was a cubicle in some basement administrative department. "Show him in," I said. Priya's eyes widened. "Are you sure? He seems really worked up." "I'm sure. But have security stand by. Just in case." She nodded and disappeared. I took a slow sip of my coffee. Straightened the papers on my mahogany desk. Adjusted the framed photos of my trips to Tokyo, Barcelona, and Cape Town. Glanced at the wall behind me where my diplomas hung. My MBA from Northwestern. My certificates. My congressional commendation letters. My leadership awards from the National Consulting Association. Then I waited. 3 minutes later, my door burst open. Ethan stormed in like a man ready for war. His chest was puffed out. His jaw was clenched. He was pointing his finger before he even finished crossing the threshold. "Sienna, we need to talk about how you've been poisoning my wife against." He stopped. Dead stopped. Right in the middle of my Persian rug. His eyes moved past me to the wall behind my desk. The plaques. The awards. The framed letter from the governor's office thanking me for my work on state infrastructure development. The crystal trophy from the Western Business Alliance. Then his eyes moved to the nameplate on my desk. Sienna Hale, Chief Strategy Officer. Then to the view. The mountains. The Denver skyline sprawling below. Then back to me. His mouth opened. Closed. Opened again. This is your office." I smiled. Not warmly. Just factually. "My name is on the door, Ethan. You walked right past it." The color began draining from his face. Ethan didn't sit down. He couldn't. He was frozen in place, his brain desperately trying to recalculate every assumption he'd ever made about me. I watched him process it. The slow, creeping realization that he had drastically underestimated the wrong person. I thought you were in data entry. I offered. That's what you told Audrey, isn't it? That I probably work in a back office somewhere, filing papers and fetching coffee. He swallowed hard. His confident posture had completely collapsed. He looked smaller now. Uncertain. Look, Sienna, about Thanksgiving, that wasn't personal. I just felt like the family needed. It was personal, I interrupted calmly. You specifically told my mother that I would ruin the energy. Those were your words. You convinced her to exclude her own daughter from a holiday we've shared for 32 years. Don't stand in my office and pretend it was anything other than what it was. He started backing toward the door. Okay, fine, maybe I overstepped. But this is a family matter. It doesn't need to involve all this. He gestured vaguely at my office, my awards, my entire existence that he'd chosen to ignore. You're right, I said. It is a family matter. I opened a drawer and pulled out a manila folder. His eyes locked onto it like it was a weapon. Which, in a way, it was. What's that? This, I said, sliding it across my desk toward him, is the reason you really came here today. Not to lecture me about family unity. Not to defend your Thanksgiving decision. You came because you're scared. Scared of what? Scared that I might show Audrey what's inside this folder. He didn't move. Didn't reach for it. Didn't breathe. 2 weeks ago, I continued, my mother called me. She was worried. She'd noticed some inconsistencies in Audrey's finances. Bills that didn't add up. Credit cards Audrey claimed she'd never applied for. My mother didn't want to cause conflict, so she asked me to look into it quietly. Because that's what I do, Ethan. I look into things. It's literally my job. I tapped the folder. Would you like to know what I found? His face had gone from pale to ashen. You had no right. I found $163,000 in debt, spread across 8 credit cards, a personal loan, and a business line of credit. All opened in the last 18 months. All connected to your failed mindset coaching ventures that never turned a profit. He grabbed the edge of a chair to steady himself. 3 of those accounts, I continued, have Audrey listed as a co-signer. Except Audrey didn't sign them, did she? Because when I compared the signatures to her actual signature on file with our family attorney, they didn't match. The folder lay between us like a bomb waiting to detonate. You forged my sister's signature. You opened accounts in her name without her knowledge. You've been using her credit, destroying her financial future, and lying to her face for over a year. You can't prove. I can prove all of it. I've spent 2 decades analyzing financial documents for a living. Did you really think you could hide this from me? He slammed his palms on my desk. You're going to ruin everything. I didn't flinch. Didn't raise my voice. Just looked at him with perfect calm. No, Ethan. You ruined everything. I'm just holding up the mirror. Ethan started pacing my office like a trapped animal. His hands were in his hair. His breathing was ragged. All that vibrational alignment and positive energy had completely abandoned him. Listen to me, he hissed. You don't understand. I was going to pay it all back. I have investors lined up. My new business is about to take off. If you show Audrey this, you'll destroy our marriage over nothing. Over nothing. I repeated. You committed financial fraud using my sister's identity. That's not nothing. That's a felony. She won't press charges. She loves me. Maybe she does. But she deserves to make that choice with full knowledge of who she married. He pointed at me, his finger trembling. You're jealous. You've always been jealous of Audrey. She's happy, she's in love, and you're sitting here alone in your big empty office with nothing but your awards and your bitterness. I almost laughed. Ethan, I have a career I love, an apartment I own outright, investments that let me retire at 50 if I choose to, and genuine friendships built on honesty rather than manipulation. If that's bitterness, I'll take it. Before he could respond, my office door opened. Priya stood in the doorway, looking apologetic. Sienna, I'm sorry to interrupt, but There's someone else here to see you. She stepped aside. And there was Audrey. My sister stood in my doorway, looking confused and exhausted. Her eyes were red-rimmed. Her hair was pulled into a messy bun. She was still wearing her pajama top under her coat, like she'd rushed out of the house without thinking. Sienna? I tracked Ethan's phone. He told me he was going to the gym, but what's going on? She looked from me to Ethan to the folder on my desk. What is that? Ethan lunged for the folder, but I was faster. I slid it back toward my side of the desk. Audrey, Ethan started, his voice suddenly honeyed, gentle, the voice of the man she'd fallen in love with. Baby, this is a misunderstanding. Sienna's been going through our personal finances without permission, and she's twisting things to make me look bad. You know how she is. She's always been jealous of us. Audrey's eyes moved to me. I didn't defend myself. Didn't argue. Didn't try to convince her of anything. Instead, I simply pushed the folder toward her. Mom asked me to look into some financial irregularities 2 weeks ago. This is what I found. You deserve to see it. Her hands trembled as she reached for it. Audrey, don't, Ethan warned. But she did. She opened the folder and began reading. The office fell completely silent as Audrey flipped through the documents. Bank statements, credit applications, signature comparisons, debt summaries. With each page, her face changed. Confusion became shock. Shock became disbelief. Disbelief became something harder. Something sharper. When she reached the page showing her forged signatures, she stopped. Her finger traced the signature on the credit application. Then she pulled out her driver's license from her wallet and compared them. I didn't write this, she whispered. Ethan started toward her. Baby, listen to me. I didn't write this. Her voice was louder now. Steadier. This isn't my signature. You signed my name. I can explain. You opened credit cards in my name without telling me. You took out a business loan that I'm apparently responsible for. You forged my signature on legal documents. She looked up at him, and I saw my sister truly see her husband for the first time. How much, Ethan? How much do I owe because of you? He was silent. Tell me. It's complicated. $163,000, I said quietly. Give or take. Audrey closed her eyes. A single tear slid down her cheek. Ethan made one last desperate attempt. He dropped to his knees in front of her, grabbing her hands. Audrey, I love you. Everything I did was for us. For our future. I was trying to build something so we could have the life we deserved. Your sister is twisting this. She's always hated me. She's always tried to come between us. Audrey pulled her hands away. Sienna has never said a single bad word about you to me. Not one. And trust me, I would have listened if she had. She stood up. Get out. Audrey. Get out of this office. Get out of my parents' guest house. Get out of my life. You don't mean that. You're emotional. You're not thinking clearly. She laughed. It was a hollow, broken sound. I'm thinking clearly for the first time in a year. Get out. Ethan looked at me, hatred burning in his eyes. You did this. No, I said. You did this. I just made sure she knew about it. He left. The door slammed behind him so hard the windows rattled. The moment he was gone, Audrey collapsed into a chair. She put her face in her hands, and she cried. Not loud, dramatic sobs. Silent tears. The kind that come from deep betrayal, from the death of something you believed in completely. I walked around my desk and sat beside her. I didn't say anything. I just put my hand on her shoulder and let her lean into me, the way she used to when we were kids and the world felt too big and scary. I didn't want to believe anything was wrong, she whispered. Mom tried to warn me. You tried to warn me. I thought everyone was just being unsupportive. You loved him. Love makes us want to believe the best. But you saw through him. From the beginning. I see patterns. It's my job. It wasn't about being smarter than you. It was just about seeing things from a different angle. She lifted her head and looked at me with swollen eyes. You spent weeks investigating this. You gathered evidence. You prepared a whole case. And Mom told you not to come to Thanksgiving. I shrugged. I was still protecting you, whether I was at the table or not. She hugged me then. Really hugged me. The way she hadn't in years. I'm so sorry, Sienna. For everything. Thanksgiving morning arrived cold and bright in Denver. Snow had fallen overnight, blanketing the city in white. My phone rang at 8 a.m. My mother's name on the screen. I almost didn't answer. But I did. Sienna. Her voice was small. Uncertain. The way it used to sound when I was a child, and she was apologizing for something she knew she'd gotten wrong. Hi, Mom. Audrey told us everything. About Ethan. About what you found. About what you did for her. I waited. I'm sorry. The words came out cracked, broken. I'm so sorry for that message I sent. I was wrong. I let someone I barely knew convince me to push away my own daughter. I don't know how I let that happen. It's okay, Mom. It's not okay. None of it is okay. But I'm hoping you'll come today. Please. The table doesn't feel right without you. I looked out my window at the mountains in the distance. At the life I'd built. At the person I'd become despite never being fully seen by my own family. I'll be there at 2, I said. When I arrived at my parents' house in Lakewood, the driveway was already full of cars. Uncle Patrick's truck. Aunt Linda's minivan. My cousin's Subaru. I sat in my car for a moment, gathering myself. Then I walked inside. The kitchen smelled like sage stuffing and roasted turkey. The Macy's parade was playing on the living room TV. Everything looked exactly like it had for the last 32 years. But something was different. When I walked through the door, every head turned toward me. My mother reached me first. She hugged me so tightly I could barely breathe, whispering I'm sorry over and over into my hair. Then my father. He didn't say anything. He just squeezed my shoulder in that quiet way of his that meant more than words. Then Audrey. She looked tired but lighter. Like a weight had been lifted even as she faced the wreckage of her marriage. Thank you, she said. For protecting me even when I didn't want to be protected. That's what sisters do. We sat down for dinner. I was given the seat of honor, right next to my mother. Nobody asked me to refill water glasses. Nobody treated me like the invisible helper. For the first time, they saw me. Later that evening, as we were clearing plates, Audrey found me in the kitchen. Can I ask you something? Of course. When Ethan walked into your office and saw who you really were, what did he see that scared him so much? I thought about it. About the plaques on my wall. About the view from the 24th floor. About decades of being underestimated and overlooked. He saw the truth, I said. And the truth has a funny way of making guilty people panic. Audrey nodded slowly. You're not the one who ruins the energy, Sienna. You're the one who saves it. I looked around the kitchen. At the dishes stacked in the sink. At the leftover turkey being wrapped in foil. At my family moving around each other in the familiar dance of a holiday evening. For 32 years, I had been the quiet one. The invisible one. The one who held everything together from the shadows. But now, finally, they could see me standing in the light. And for the first time in years, I believed I deserved to be there.